What's happening, mate?
How do you mean?
Well, it's not exactly kicking off, is it?
Oh no, it never does. To 8 o'clock!
Sets up Larsson here. Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly. How about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson. And Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Good evening all and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. I'm JP and joining me tonight is my good man Mr. Ryan Clifford. I'm back with Daniel again. Daniel, good to see you, pal. Hope you're well, and it's been a wee while actually since I've had a wee blather with you, mate. I hope you're good.
It is, mate. Good evening, JP. Evening, Ryan. Good evening, everybody watching. Hope everybody's well. Aye, not bad, mate. Obviously, regarding the club, it's a sad state of affairs at the moment. It's a bit of a shambles, but listen, I hope everybody's had a good weekend and stuff and enjoyed a wee break.
Yeah, and for anybody that was wondering about Daniel's, what club Daniel's talking about, he's actually talking about the club he was at on Saturday. It's a wee bit of a shambles and it's needing a bit of a renovation, Ryan, there. But good evening to yourself, mate. I hope you're well.
I hope that club is in the Suave Sav, man. That's a makeover now, isn't it, to be fair though. So, but aye, as Daniel says,
Daniel's wearing, I think it was Joanna D. Gone with that hoodie the wee man's got on tonight. I think it's Joanna D's nightclub.
Joanna D's, aye. Aye, it's been as Daniel says, it's been a bit of a mental few days in the club. Well, no in terms of the club, but in terms of all the news at the club and obviously what the fans are trying to do and stuff. So, aye, it's been. I know there's been international football and there's been obviously no Celtic, but there's definitely been Celtic news, mate, and it's definitely ramping up. So.
Well, you wouldn't have known.
Well, I've known, mate, but I think at the moment we're all really... we're all kind of focused on what's happening there at the club. So obviously the window's finished, but I don't think this will stop us what's happening at the moment, mate. But I hope I'm very, very good. But I think we're in for a good night, mate.
Aye, well, we'll try and make it as best as we can. As Ryan said, folks, good evening to you all that's joining us across the platforms. Hope you are all well. Do apologies, obviously, we were normally on a Monday night, and I think you all missed us going with some of the comments we've seen. But obviously, there was the Scotland game, so we took upon it ourselves just to wait till tonight for this wee chat and to see if there was any dust going to settle, but I doubt there's any. I doubt the dust is going to settle. The only dust that managed to settle was the one across from me in the kitchen that I'm sitting in now. Just when I pulled the hoover out earlier, that's about the only dust that's disappeared for me. So, but as you can see, folks, with the banner tonight, there has been a vote of no confidence regarding Celtic's hierarchy. Daniel, this all comes down to the recent statement, mate, that the club have made. Obviously to the fans due to the necessity for reply, because the fans put in a very detailed document with loads of questions, and I think it's fair to say, mate, that most of those questions, if not, probably not even one or two of them, have been answered by the club. They've just spoke to us like politicians and the way politicians would answer questions, and they've just evaded everything by it's like somebody sitting in the room going, it's his fault, 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 it's his fault. And it seems to be they've blamed everybody else, Daniel, apart from taking any, accountability for their own actions, mate. So, in terms of that, mate, what's your thoughts?
I think a lot of the fans were left unsurprised by that reaction. Like you says in the letter sent to the club by a collective of supporters groups and stuff like that, I'd say barely any questions were answered, and it was a game of finger pointing rather than accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it left fans even more angry than before, because like you says there, nobody's turned around and went, fair enough. They've just kind of deflected and said, aye, but this is why, and this is why, and this is why, rather than proper answers. So it was a very, I'd say, rehearsed response. I've seen a lot on media. It looked like an AI response for the club.
Mm-hmm.
Not really well thought out or anything like that. So
yeah,
it was like a snappy one that they'd had in the chamber just to try and simmer it down. But it's only made things worse for them, I'd say.
Yeah, Ryan, they certainly haven't covered themselves in glory at all with the statement, mate, because it's like the old cliche, mate, you can't kid a kidder. So you're sitting there, it just seems like somebody's come up with every excuse in the book, mate, and they've just decided to, try and farmer that out to the Celtic fans, which is obviously not going to go unnoticed, and certainly not going to go unturned, mate. And obviously there's now, well, we know now there's going to be more coming from this now in terms of the fans' response to that statement, because not only are the fans unhappy, but they've also been left feeling that there's someone in there just not wanting to listen, not wanting to hear what's going on, and not wanting to hear why the fans initially put in that document, mate.
As Daniel says, and yourself, obviously, mate, they've not answered anything. It's just deflecting, it's all but this, but that, but this, but that. Just tell the truth, tell the answers, and see if you actually tell the truth, and then we're not happy, then we can go about what we need to do, but tell us the truth first. Yeah. Don't spread lies, and obviously we'll touch on the statement and stuff going forward on the show, but it's just deflection, it's no actual answers, and like Daniel says, it doesn't seem like they're all intelligent guys in that boardroom in terms of the experience of running clubs, and in terms of the intelligence-wise, you don't manage football clubs if you're no intelligent, right, or etc. business-wise, right? But that statement's no really a statement from, I think, guys. I think that's from either AI or it's been there just in the back burner just in case and they had to put something out, because surely they'd have known that this is going to happen. We've only spent about £30 million, dragged on, didn't qualify for the Champions League. Everything just came to a head, and it just seems like, as Daniel says, it was prepared, right, just in case this happens, we'll just say this, and that'll be all right. Like you say, right, but you can't kid the fans on. You can't kid the fans on. The fans are no stupid. When it comes to money and supporting the club and getting treated properly, the fans are no stupid, mate. They've been treating us like idiots for too long in terms of some of the statements they're putting out, some of the things that's happening at the club. The day they're charging Hibs fans 39 quid out at Celtic Park, the game's finished, mate. Things like that, again, it's wrong. I know that's not concerning us, but that's another thing that's wrong. But the statement for me, mate, I know we'll probably touch on it as we go, but it's not great to look, mate, and I think they've definitely made it worse, and I don't think there's much coming back from it now. I think they've made our bed in it, mate, and I think they're lying it now.
Yeah, listen, obviously reading over the statement, I think you're spot on, Ryan. I think obviously you look at that and it's as if a child wrote that in a room, and I don't mean to be disrespectful here. It just doesn't, something didn't make any sense. Like, Daniel, we're talking about UEFA, as if it's UEFA's fault that they weren't able to spend money. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly, mate.
So
and
you need to have a deficit of over 60 million quid in order for financial fair play to take a kick in your club, in order to kick in and really stop you moving forward. Celtic are in profit. So for based on that, I mean, that's just one part of that statement, mate. There was numbers a part of that statement that you're going, right, well, I mean, come on, lads, let's get real here. And yeah, for me, Daniel, it was just totally baffling and really, really undermining to the Celtic fans, mate.
Yeah, and the response coming from the fans just shows that we're no stupid. We know what we're talking about, for the fact that the fans have been able to identify that the UEFA excuse doesn't wash straight away. But again, that's just that finger pointing that we've been talking about. Or blame UEFA, because UEFA are only going to turn around and go, well, actually, no, that's not true. Do you know what I mean? So it's blaming people that won't speak up and turn around and go, well, no, it's yours. So yeah, it just shows that they're just going to find every and any excuse they can to make the fans confused. And with that statement, it's as if they think we're stupid. And that doesn't wash. Not at all. So it's only put themselves in a bigger hole.
Yeah, 100%, Daniel. And Ryan, now, obviously, as we see through various parts of social media, ex-Celtic players, punditry panels, TV shows, podcasts, that has become a big talking point now. You know, you heard like Tom McManus on the PLZ earlier on with Peter Martin, and that's what they're saying. I mean, talking about the Celtic fans will see right through us. And listen, I, for one, personally, I'm not sitting here wanting people's jobs on the line, and I wouldn't like to see anybody lose their jobs. I'm an advocate for change in terms of the processes and the way that we do things, especially the speed of the way we do it, Ryan. Because obviously, when you look at I'll take into consideration the Jacob Broom situation in isolation here, just to give you a quick example, Ryan. Celtic told very early in the window, just over £5 million before a conversation's going to take place. They try and negotiate, they go in with 1.65, then they go back with 2.5, and then it kind of stagnates and becomes stale. And then the player it becomes anxious, starts to down tools on the team, doesn't want to train properly. I'm also going to touch on a situation closer to home in that situation as well, and that might arise. But we've ended up going and spending that money now on Sebastian Tinecki, who, by the way, okay, fair enough, now we know that, and we've found out information, he's supposed to be better than Jacob Broom. But at the time, you're not knowing that. So you're kind of, us as Celtic fans are going, well, what the hell are we doing? We're being told that £5 million is going to be the starting point for negotiations. So why then are we going in with lower bids, knowing fine well that team are going to go, chase yourself. Like, away you go. And if that's the case, there's where I want change. I don't think I'm asking for anything astronomical here. I'm just asking for, a wee bit more common sense. Because if we've got a guy who's in charge of our recruitment and he's telling us to go for players, but then he's saying, right, go in with this bid, surely he must know before a conversation takes place, right, lads, listen, you can't just go in with a £2 million bid here because they'll not come round the table with you. You need to actually go maybe 4 million. That maybe starts negotiations, and then you can start to talk about maybe add-ons and whatever else the deal might come to. But stop making us look that little bit foolish in terms of transfers. And then that stagnates, Ryan, and goes on to the Kasper Dolberg thing. And the same thing happens there. So it becomes a pattern. So that's where I'm looking for change. I'm looking for that process. That process could have been quickened up by going, go ahead, Eagles, what's it going to take for us to chat? We really want this player. This is coming from Brendan. What do we want to do here? Right, well, you're going to have to bid over £4.5 million. Right, okay, there's 4.5. Let's have a conversation now. Why can that not be done? That to me would make more sense rather than putting in one bid, putting in 2 bids, oh, we'll put in a third bid to make it look good. We done the same with Casper Dolberg at the death of the window. Albeit, listen, I understand Ajax have came in, but Ajax came in once realistically Celtic were out of the running for him. Now we know that as well. But at the time, we were all sitting in transfer deadline day with severe anxiety going, is this player going to come? Is he not? And then we end up with nobody until the next day, and then it's Kelechi like that. Obviously, I'm going to mention him later on as well. But that's what I'm advocating for, Ryan. That's the change I want to see. I want to see smarter thinking when we go into these processes, rather than dragging our heels, and then we're giving us anxiety coming into qualifiers for Europe, coming into derbies, when the squad is depleted, and you know we need numbers at the top end of the field, and these are guys, I mean, Balak Wisha, okay, he was there for the derby, but he should have been in 2 weeks ago. It was the same price all along. We've known for January how much he was going to cost. But we seem to just drag the arse right out of everything. And that's the bit that I want change. So whether that be our recruitment officer, and he needs to do his reporting quicker, I don't know. I'm not inside. I don't know what's going on. But surely somewhere, mate, in the modern technology that we have, there must be a quicker process in doing what it is we're not doing just now, surely.
There is, mate, 100%. Again, we can only go by what we see in the media and what we take for things and what we hear through journalists and the media and maybe people etc. The thing that seems to be mentioned a lot is value for money. Now, we're not a bank. We're a football club. Yes, we're a business, but we're a football club. And I understand that we do need to go for value money as well in certain aspects, but not every player you sign has to then be a sell-on value or you need to get them cheap, because we're not going to get Matt O'Reilly's every single season. We're not going to get Maeda's for maybe 2-3 million every season, and it's not going to happen. By the looks of it, Balak-Wisha, Taneke, Dolberg, there was a few other signings. We've linked very early on. Dolberg was only really linked the last few days, but now we know he was spoken to in July or June or whatever else. But why was he not signed in? Like, we spoke about on here previously. If you scout somebody, you roughly know if you can afford them. You should be, that should be already ticked off, right? We can get him. We obviously do a bit of due diligence, talk and see where we go. If you can't afford them, why are you even looking at them? If you're not going to bid the proper money, why look at them? Why go and scout them? Why even put that in his agent's head or put that in his player's head that we might be actually want to go for you? Because I know for a fact, Jive, if I was playing with Go Ahead Eagles or Royal Antwerp or even Anderlecht done the Anderlecht there was years ago, Celtic want me. Oh, all right, potential Champions League, Brendan Rodgers winning trophies. Well, here we go. This is all right. I'll just keep picking away. I'll see what happens, and then just let you know. No anymore. Oh, how no? They've bid £4 million less than your value. It's bonkers, mate. And anybody who knows how to do that type of stuff, we spoke to guys who we know and out with the podcast. That's not how business works. Yes, you need to bid a certain price, and then you maybe start talking. But by all accounts, it was McGibbon that put it out. I said it to, at the time we spoke it on here. If that wasn't the truth, Celtic would have already come out and called it McGibbon. It's not happened. So it's probably the truth that we did bid 1.7 and then 2 point whatever. And then so now we need to bid 5 million to get him. And like you've mentioned, they've paid that money for Taneke and Balak-Wisha. So why not just go and pay for Jacob Broom and get your 3 wingers that we probably wanted at £15 million, which is not a loss at the club, because then you've just sold Adamir on top of that, and you've sold Kuhn. You've got money for Kyogo, you've got season book money, and they 3 players, before even a striker, by the way, might have even helped you beat Karat. I know, listen, we've all spoke about JP about Brendan Rodgers and the team. Yes, they should have won that tie. 100%, right? 150 million %. But the full thing is, like you mentioned, to help the team, to help the process, we would have been a far better outfit to get over the line if that team were helped. McGregor was asking for it, Casper was asking for it, the fans are asking, the managers are asking for it. They've got to do something, but see what you're saying there as well, change. For me, there's got to be a change. If that's going to happen, Michael Nicholson won't change, mate. He's done it for the last 2-3 years. Not going to change. Paul Tisdale's coming in the door. Is it his fault? We can't. We don't know. But they're obviously whoever's doing the money men. If it's Chris McKay, financial officer, if it's your CEO Nicholson, they're not doing their job properly and getting these deals done quick enough. So it all stems from the board, in my opinion, because the scout can only give his report. We know our scout and William. He gives reports into. Obviously, he's with Motherwell now. He'll give the manager. He'll give the manager reports. That's him done his job.
So, Ryan, so as you're talking there about scouting, then Ryan, do you think it even goes as deep as that? Then, in terms of
it could be maybe
not just. By the way, that's Paul Tisdale's department. Okay,
yeah.
But do you reckon the men who are actually now going to see these players? Do you think it's maybe a reporting problem, as in they're not doing it quick enough, they're not getting the information ready quick enough, or what do you? Because that's ultimately where the breakdown is, right?
It could be a collective, but if the scouts and the guys who are in, obviously, there's probably guys in that situation that we've never heard of that are working in the background doing other things, right? There's maybe guys who are on the website and they're actually, there's other guys working behind the scenes, right? Obviously, if you David Pleat there as well, who we've never heard a word for, never seen him, he's never been to Celtic Park, we've ever seen him once or twice, never heard from him. But again, he's getting older as well, so is he as sharp as he used to be? Because he used to be really, really, very, very highly regarded years ago. It just, they could maybe not doing it quick enough, but the amount of likes we had JP early on, and then like you've just mentioned there, they went flat. So this is just my opinion, I could be totally wrong, but this is just reading between the lines, and I'm not an expert, but I think I know a wee bit about football. I know nothing, but this is for me on the CEO, the financial advisors, the money men to go and get the deals done, and they're not doing it properly because the amount of links we've had to then come out with hardly any players that are first team players to come in and play, it's concerning, mate. And again, this is just my opinion. It's a collective, yes, but for me, it all stems on the money men because they're not getting deals done. And £15 million, if it was 3 winners, if it was Taneki, Baltwisha and Broom, that might seem a lot, right? But it's no money out the bank. It's money you've made, and you'll get it back if you qualify for Europe, you win trophies. If you're successful on the park, like we mentioned before we come on, and I'll keep mentioning it, no matter what anybody thinks of Trusty, Engels, whatever, they guys were still successes on the park. We still won trophies. We still nearly beat Bayern Munich and done very well in the Champions League. So they added to that team. But didn't they fail last year? So they weren't failures. So we can't keep going back to that. Oh, we spent 26 million and we made more money. So it didn't make us fail. So I'm going to put it on the money men, JP. The guys who do the negotiations, they're not doing it quick enough, and that process is 100%, mate, has to, because we can't go into qualifiers next year. By the way, see if we finish second next year, I think we go into conference qualifiers. Can't happen. Can't happen. So there's a massive chance that we need to win the league, mate. But no, we can't have this again next year. So this is why that has to change.
Yeah, Daniel, obviously that's where the club really think they're getting away with things because, as Ryan spoke there, you look at Celtic's success and look at what Celtic have achieved over the last decade or so, and the club are seen hiding behind that, and it's overlooking the processes of what we're chatting about here in terms of the way they're doing things, and the undermining are there, and doing this here and doing that there, and our good man Mark has gave us a good breakdown of our staffing. Thank you, Mark. So just looking there, Daniel, we've got Jay Leffrey, head of scouting, former Arsenal scout, Tosh McKinley, Craig Strachan, Steve Watson, Neil Moran, Mark Cooper, and Lee McCafferty. So that seems to be the scouting team. couple of names you're particularly familiar with, especially the boy Lefebvre. You're then looking at Tosh McKinlay, former Celtic player, who openly spoke on the Let's Be Frank podcast and says that he was part of the bringing in of young Callum Osmond from Fulham. So he was part of that recruitment side. Craig Strachan, I'm of the belief that his dad used to be Celtic manager, Gordon Strachan. Am I right? Is that another one of Strachan's sons at the football club?
So, mate.
By the way, I'm not having a dig. I mean, Gavin Strachan, from what I've heard, is a top coach, and he does a great job working with. He's worked under Big Ange, and now he's working with Brendan. Apparently, he's very good at what he does. But as a name familiar with the Celtic fans, the Strachan name, because obviously we've had Gordon there as the manager, fantastic manager he was. But Daniel, this is where the club are hiding, in my opinion, because they're hiding behind Celtic success in that aspect, aren't they? And do you think that's why they find it fitting to put out such a statement, mate? Because obviously they're probably looking at it going, why are yous all moaning? Yous have got this, yous have got that, yous are doing this, yous are doing that. Yeah, we are. But there is still a mitigating circumstances that need to be addressed, because we still have the same thing happening. Martin O'Neill's on TalkSport, Daniel, talking about, this has happened there, and that's happened
Just
there. And thank you very much to the kind donation.
Super chat there for Wee Mitch. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thanks very much for your kind donation, mate. Take care,
Thank you.
and cheers for the view as well. But you look at Martin O'Neill on TalkSport talking to Simon Jordan and Jim White, Daniel, and he's talking about these issues are nothing new. And the lads were like, what are you talking about? He said, well, this was happening when I was there.
Yeah.
But the difference is, my understanding is, and going with the way Martin was, he only dealt with Dermot Desmond. Martin didn't have to deal with, as Ryan's pointed out, your Michael Nicholson's, Peter Lawwell, who was obviously a bit more on the day-to-day things there. My understanding is Peter Lawwell's nothing to do with the recruitment, nothing to do with the transfers this time. But then you've got Brendan Rodgers now at the head of the table saying, I don't deal with contract talks. I don't deal with this. I don't deal with that. And then in the other breath, he looks dead moody. And then in the other breath, he's gaslighting us by telling us, no, there's no disconnect. There's no fault between me and the board. Everything's all fine, and we're doing that. And by the way, this was only just a fortnight ago. So this isn't something that that we've plucked out of thin air. He done it. It was on a press conference. He sat and says, right, okay, everything's fine. We're all hunky dory, blah blah blah. And then the transfer window peters out, and it ends the way it does. So, do you reckon that's what I think I went a long road for a shortcut with this one, Daniel, but do you reckon that's what the board are hiding behind, Daniel, the fact that Celtic's success has been so glaring over the last decade or so?
Definitely, mate. We've seen it for a number of years now. When things have happened. I mean, I think in recent years we've had the automatic Champions League qualification, which has...
Well, we've had it for the last few years, haven't we?
Yeah. It's kind of gave them a shield to hide behind, because if you look at our track record in qualifiers, it's no great at all, because of the same processes. No getting people in the door, heading into qualifiers. We win maybe the first two, gets to the playoff game, fall short, then people come in and we go and win the league.
Yeah.
So there's only so many times they can hide behind, but look at how much we've won, before that becomes no winning, and then it becomes, right, what happens now? Like we seen during COVID. That was the biggest example of all the failures coming to a head and it gone drastically wrong. So is it going to be a case that's what it's going to need for everybody to turn around and realise? I think that's what the board are expecting, and that's why they're hiding behind, but we're still winning the now. But fans have turned around and went, well, no, actually, we are finally fed up. And I've said for a couple of weeks that there's been quite a lot of divide in the support about the board and opinions and stuff like that. But everybody's starting to come together now, especially after this statement, and realise that, well, no, actually, these are just deflecting. Nobody's taking anything on board. So I would say definitely that they're trying to hide behind how successful the club has been in the recent years. But when Brendan Rodgers came in the door, his ambition was Europe. He made it abundantly clear, I'm here to progress us into Champions League. He said it this season, at the start of the season, if you want somebody to stay stagnant, that's not me.
Yep.
I'm looking to progress. And they followed the same processes and cost us Champions League football again. So for me, they can't hide behind that success anymore.
No, I get you, Daniel. I get you, but listen, I'm quite strong on my thinking in terms of that qualifier there, and I'm still angry about it, actually. For me, that qualifier, both legs, I was at the game at Celtic Park, and that night was astounding. Again, I spoke about the away leg and how our manager he was gone. He was mentally checked out. He didn't show any craft. He didn't show any enthusiasm. There was times where Ryan in that, especially Celtic Park time, there was times in that game where he could have changed things, and he didn't. And he done the exact same thing over in Cairo. So for me, mate, I understand there has been failings and there's been discrepancies and everything from Celtic's money men. They don't go off scot-free, not whatsoever. But that tie, that Champions League tie in isolation, is for me on our manager. That's a massive failing from him. He's too much of an egomaniac to come out and say that. So that's fine. I'll sit here and say it for him. That's on him. And the squad of players that we have, they just never showed any oomph about them at all. That takes me on to my next topic, please. So, obviously, we've got now, we play Rangers at Ibrox, we draw nothing each, the game's as flat as a dodo, there's nothing in the game. It's probably the worst we'll play this season. Well, I would like to think so anyway. And probably the worst Rangers team that I've seen in my life. And there's been two Rangers in my lifetime, so that's probably the worst I've seen now from the both. And the surrounding circumstance there as well. You look again at people's demeanour, Ryan, and we go into the international break, mate, and then a statement appears that, Daizen Maeda's done an interview. I can't believe what I was reading, mate. I honestly could not believe. This is when I go back to what I was saying earlier about processes. So this conversation with Daizen in the club would have probably happened earlier in the summer. Maybe even before the end of last season, right? A lot of people, even in comments here, have said Daizen's form's went off a cliff since last season, even the cup final. I think I spoke to Mark last week about it, and Mark says you could see signs of it then. Even just Celtic in general, Brendan and Celtic, and the way things were rubbing off. But you look at Daizen, right? He's missing sitters, Ryan. His penalty was hopeless against Cairo. Hopeless. Non fine merely had to score for Celtic to stay in that tie. Now, by the way, we shouldn't even have got to that point. Not once did Kasper Schmeichel over the two legs have to make a match-winning save or a top-quality save. He wasn't threatened. We had two glorious chances over both ties, and Daizen Maeda was at the heart of both of them. One at Celtic Park, where he's through 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, and he just passes it back to the goalie. And then the second one, the ball hit my motor yesterday. And they were home way before it. So you're looking at that and you're saying, what are you doing? I mean, even his decision making in the moment, like cutting back across onto his left, no staying on his right, no getting around the goalkeeper. But then we hear during the international break there, Ryan, that he's unhappy. He wants to move on. He'd explored a move to Brentford City. He'd agreed terms with the club. Our club knew about it. The answer to Daizen was, we can't let you go because we can't get MD else in. I mean, how do you end up in that position? We've done the same with Yang. Here's another boy, thought he was going to Birmingham, went away, done his medical, and then there's been a whole charade off the back of that. We're hearing that people aren't answering phones, and this is happening, and that's happening, and we can't get this done, and that's... Oh my goodness. And this is what I'm saying about processes, Ryan. This is why I'm saying things need to be dealt with differently. Now, I'm not a big advocate for people to lose their job. I'm not pointing fingers and saying it's you. But the process of things need to be changed. They need to be modernised at Celtic. Because we're living in the dark ages, mate. We're going back to Kyogo's situation here in January. Now we've got a guy who is potentially unhappy at the football club. Now we understand why his form isn't as good as what he showed last season. so what I'm trying to wrap around my head is, how do we end up in this situation? And now we're going to have to go for another 5 to 6 months for the same guy who might not be giving his all for the football team. That just make that make sense to me, Ryan.
There's everything you've just said there, mate. There's other things as well. Like Terry will not be allowed to leave to get somebody in. Either can't go until get somebody in. He goes. Lagerbielke gets sent away to Italy, I think, come back. There's a common denominator here, and it's the boardroom, and it's the money men, whoever's dealing with these, because that's not on Rodgers. Rodgers hasn't gone.
Steve Dyson does a runner. Nobody's catching him.
No, that's true. It's not Rodgers that's saying to Lagerbielke, get your flights booked, see you later, pal. Terry, see you later. He's telling him, you can go, but go and speak to the club. On you go. Because Benjamin Seekis has now said it as well. His inquiries didn't get answered. And now you've got, obviously, hearing now Yang's inquiry down to the airport, went to Birmingham, the answer from Michael Nicholson. So there's a common denominator here, that it's in behind the scenes, it's the boardroom or the guys that deal with the contracts and the transfer fees. People say the model works and stuff like that, right? We're good at selling players, getting money for our players, but in terms of the way we deal with signing players and that and stuff like that, as you mentioned, we're living the dark ages.
Brian, there's a good comment for Mark here. I think it's a brilliant comment. We're seeing two different contrasts. Right off form. Mark's comment, he's saying this didn't happen when Matt O'Reilly was getting bids put in the club for him.
Mark mentioned that last week with you, didn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's what he's saying. He was professional until he got his moved, and obviously Celtic helped to develop the player.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, and Mark did agree with me when he was on last week, that we're not seeing that with Dyson just now. We're seeing Dyson's kind of... Now it looks to me as if he's spat the dummy. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of just went, well, do you know what, I'm not going to try hard enough now. But now the transfer window's shut. My question would be, Ryan, what Dyson are we going to see? Are we going to see a Dyson to go, right, I need to be right at this, because if he wants that move, he needs to be right at it until January. Otherwise, clubs aren't going to come in and look at him and say, right, we'll take a chance on you.
I don't think he'll get a move like that anymore. I think the volume's away now, because if we were ever going to sell Dyson Maeda, that was that season there. If he was told that he could possibly go with a replacement, why was the club not getting a replacement as soon as possible? Because see if our club is what Michael Nicholson likes to say is a world-class club and the world-class basics, all that nonsense.
Said that as well.
Garbage as well, that to tell the fans, right?
That's come back to bite him.
The recruitment team, and there should be a list of players that are close to potential, right? If Kuhn goes or Kyogo, right, we'll get him, push a button, one or two, right? Let's get this done. If Dyson Maeda said to the club, listen, I've loved my time here, but I've had a good offer. Financially, if my family is better, it might develop me better as a player. My life's going to become a lot better. Financially, on the park, everything might be a better player. It's my biggest chance to get another move, a big move in my career. I want to go. I'll still continue to play, but I want to go. The club should be right, guys, and look, continue to train, play as much as obviously you can. We'll try and get you a move. We'll try and get somebody in as soon as possible. And that should have happened as soon as Dyson said to the club, obviously there's not a transfer request, but as soon as he says, right, I want to go, there should have been one or two top strikers or top wingers ready to come in within a few days, right? On the phone, right? Can we get him on the Americas soon? We want him. Can we start talking? As much as I don't like talking about them across the water, IP Rangers, right? Ant-Man was, I think he was rumoured to be like Thursday, Friday. He was in for a Bruges. I think it was Bruges or the other game he played. It was one of the qualifiers. Bang, and right away played. Processes like that, it does take time. Certain
So far, he's been a
transfers.
guy, Ant-Man, when he's
But listen, see in terms of even teams like Hearts, Aberdeen, Hibs, they get players in for their qualifiers. So I know it's a different quality of play, but the processes don't change. Processes work no matter the value of a player, how good that player is. They still need to go through the same rigmarole, same medical, same contact talks, same moving schools, moving this, moving that. It's all the same process. And we are one of the slowest teams at getting deals done. We're the quickest team to go and get a player sold. What's 20? No, we want 25, right? Oh, cool. Right, see you later. But you can't sell your major assets and not replace them. You're never going to move forward. Now, that's not on the manager, because he's come out and blatantly says, he does not go on until I get somebody else in. And we get somebody in after the window. So the club have obviously undermined the manager with selling him. Or they obviously thought they were going to get Dolberg, and they didn't do their proper negotiations, and they've no got him in. If it's true that they waited just about to Ajax come in for a bid before they bidded third bid, why are you waiting 3 bids to get a guy who, even if it was, just say, and let's say, right, we want 10 million euros, right? We'll maybe bid 8, right? 8 million first, with either a percentage of profit or add-ons. And Andy let go and, right, okay, we'll give you 10 now. Because
Ryan, do you think it was right for Dyson to come out and do what he done, though? Or do you think he should have kept that in-house?
probably in-house, but we don't know if he's been advised to do it or the club have let him. We don't know. We'll find out, obviously, in Brendan's presser. He'll probably get asked about the situation. It probably should have been left in-house, but I know. I don't know what's obviously why that's came out and why, if he's badly advised, we don't know. Or maybe he's said it to the Japanese press, maybe thought they're only going to put it out and they've put it out. But we can't keep going like this. It's all right, like you mentioned there, mate, hiding behind success. It's all right saying we're winning doubles and winning trophies and done all right recently in Europe. But when we've had to qualify for Europe recently, hopeless. Ange, I know the Ange was a bit different because he came in a rebuild and he tried to do as much as he could, right? But we were left with Beaton and a young Dane Murray. Midtjylland won the great, but they've been in Europe. It's things like that we really need to move the process at the football club. That probably means JP guys losing jobs or a sporting director coming in, because the same guys from here 2 or 3 years are doing the same process.
Because Ian Roy put a question to me, I was dying to answer it for him.
That's something we'll touch on, but on for me, JP, I know you're saying that, listen, nobody will actually lose Joes, but see, for us to change the process, there will have to a change at some sort of line, because
by the way, this isn't a clear. This isn't just moving chairs about.
Because Michael Nicholson, again, I'll let you back in here because I've not a bit of time here.
No, I'm obviously going to get Daniel's thoughts to be second regarding Dyson.
You've obviously spoken about the hiding, at least back to what you're saying about hiding behind success, right? Nicholson, Lowell came out 11 years ago. Everything we invest is on the park. Well, that's lies, Peter. It's not happened. And then Michael comes out and says, world class this, world class that, we invest this, and we want to do this, and make Celtic this. Well, now come out and say, right, we've made a be bit of a boss here, right? We should have done this better. Come out in front, the negativities, like us on here, all the Celtic fans and whatever else, we're all happy with my money, but we still need to come out and say, right, that defeat the weekend was, he was bad, or that's, we still need to front it. So why are they hiding behind a close curtain when we need to front it? We go to a work in front it, we talk on here in front it. We need to front a fan base. We're getting ridiculed for getting beat off a carrot. Ridiculed for spending £13 million when we're bringing in all sorts of money. You came out to speak and let us actually listen and take it in and not just fill us with nonsense.
Yeah. No, listen, 100%. Just to quickly, before I bring you in the Dyson thing there, Daniel, just to quickly answer Ian Roy's question, I'm very sorry. Ryan likes to talk. He's got Jimmy Calderwood's Rosary beads there with him as well. So, God rest Jimmy, right enough. But
Yep.
I, like we said, about, you're talking about, he's asked, what do I think to change? We're all moaning about this, we're moaning about that. Well, I want method changing. So, like Ryan says, roles within the club and roles within the footballing department. I think Celtic would benefit from a sporting director. I think Brendan Rodgers, as a Celtic manager, would benefit from a sporting director. So there's a start. So instead of having a head of recruitment, why don't we have a sporting director that can go and help Brendan identify the people? If Brendan can't get to watch people he wants to see, then he sends this guy. And it's a go-between they two. I also want methods changed. So I want the Celtic board to say to Brendan, right, you have 40 million in a transfer window. By the way, your 40 million's there. And if anything goes wrong, then the dairy's on you. It's your, it's you that. Cheers,
Thanks,
Dan.
Dan. Thanks a lot, mate.
Thanks for your kind donation, mate. Thank
Much
you.
appreciated. Thank you.
So there's your transfer kitty. And this is to Ian Noy, by the way, if he's still watching. There's your transfer kitty, Brendan. You need to go and make of that what you will. How that looks come the end of the transfer window is on you. So I really do think a sporting director would help. You look how Hibs have benefited from that, and Malky Mackay. Malky Mackay stepped back from management. He's went in and look at David Gray. Took a wee while to get going, but now he's lauded now by Hibs. I'm not saying Hibs are the same as Celtic by any means. Good man. I'm not saying, for any means that Hibs are the same as Celtic here, but what I mean is you look at the methods of Hearts. Now, Hearts are changing. They've brought in Tony Bloom. Tony Bloom's going in, and he's now giving them what Brighton used to do their recruitment. That's probably the most modern way of football recruitment now. By the way, I'm not saying no, he won't, Stephen. No, he won't. He won't.
No chance.
He won't, Stephen.
No, after that
Stephen.
situation, no chance, Stephen. No chance.
Stephen, put down your inhaler, mate. Seriously.
If he's a manager, he'll be season books. Oh,
Stephen,
scarves the part.
Stephen, honestly, put down your inhaler, pal. Honestly. Maloney couldn't even. Now, by the way, I think Sean would benefit from a sporting director role.
Aye, but he's still getting him out. He can.
No. But you talk about Sean Maloney. I think someone like that who knows a football club, probably works well with Brendan. I know he's in at the youth side of things just now he's ahead of youth. But I think he would work well. There's more chance of John Kennedy becoming a Celtic manager before Sean Maloney would get that. That's just a fact. John's probably more qualified for the job as well, I would say, out of the two that we've mentioned here. But that's just in hindsight. But Daniel, obviously, getting your thoughts, mate, on this, this information that we've received now from Daisen Maeda. Obviously, he's wanting away. He's agreed a move to Brentford, and it was something he wanted to pursue, mate. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to. What's your thoughts there? Were you kind of puzzled, to say the least?
No, really. See, when it came out, I expected it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't surprised by it because we'd seen that Daisen Maeda's something wasn't right, and we sat on here a couple of times and we're going, is he done it? Is there a move there? Because we knew Brentford had kind of been sniffing about for him, and we were like, if nothing's materialised, then no. Like we've spoke about, obviously he's had a young child at the end of the season, blah blah blah. No, that would impact anybody, but I wasn't surprised when it came out, because I actually turned round and I said to people, I sent it to somebody who'd actually said, he wants away, by the way. And I said, where I go, bang on. But it's the tip. It just epitomises everything that's been happening, because it's a carbon copy of the Kyogo situation. He's turned round and he said, right, I want away. And they've went, well, we can't really, because we can't get anybody for you. So you're going to have to stay. And then Kyogo's stayed ways. He's still hitting numbers. No as effectively, but he's still done it. And then he gets away. and then we don't bother. So is that going to be the same situation with Maeda? Is Maeda going to get that move in January, and then we're going to dilly-dally and mess about, and it's all right. It's all right. We've brought these guys in. He can play there for a wee while until we get to the transfer, and then they just don't do it again. So, like you says, mate, it's processes. And for me, the only way the processes change is if there's a new face in there with new ideas. Because we've seen it for years. Like, these guys have sat about and they're just batting the same things about. It's no change. The only time we've seen real positive change was when there was a new face in the club, in Dom McKay. That's the only time we've seen any sort of difference in the speed of our transfers picking up. It was how much? All right, boom. So I definitely think something needs changed and new faces need brought in, whether that's people leaving the club and getting replaced, or a new role, like we've been saying, being created within the club to kind of take some of the heat off Brendan as well. Because if, like, that sporting director role's there, Brendan Rodgers isn't going to get asked so much about transfers, and it'll be more squad related stuff for him. Or how's he no playing? Is he all right? What are your tactics? Instead of who he's bringing in when transfer. Because you've seen how depleted it made Brendan Rodgers, and you could see how frustrated it made him talking about it.
Yeah.
So I think we would benefit that sporting director role, but I definitely think there needs to be fresher faces in the boardroom, because the same people that have been running the club for this amount of time, it's becoming stale.
Yeah, comments coming in about Kyogo, couldn't wait to get out of Brendan's team, the style was killing him. I agree to an extent, and I understand what Daniel's saying there in terms of, you know, Kyogo still tried to give his all. The wee man scored a hat-trick the night before he left, and it was all chopped off for offside and everything else, but he was still present. I mean, that Young Boys game, I know we went through 1-0, Ryan, but that could have been an ultimate doom for Young Boys had those goals been something different. Yeah, well, I think with the Dyson one, lads, I think they're just going to need to wait and see what kind of Dyson. Like Matt in the comments earlier, you know, he talks about Matt O'Reilly, which is a great example for your top professionals. Look where Matt is now. But I think we'll need to wait and see now in terms of where we're going to be now. Now that the window's closed and, you know, there isn't that, is somebody moving on? Is somebody doing this? We'll need to wait and see. I personally don't like this situation. And if I have an incline that a player is maybe not trying, I've played in teams, Ryan, you know yourself, mate, that there's players in your dressing room, mate, that they get into training, mate, and they just coast. And they just don't, they'll do enough to get their wages and they'll do enough to do, and that's something I wouldn't want, you know. And yeah, I hope he doesn't just do enough to get by. I hope he comes in and he shows enthusiasm and he shows I hope he's, you know, I hope he becomes a breath of fresh air again for the team and he really sparks something in the squad. Daniel mentions a man there, Ryan, I'm going to touch on briefly to give my own thoughts on that situation, and Dom McKay. I'm beginning to think now, mate, that Dom McKay was a bright light in a dark situation at the time, mate. He was coming in COVID and he was changing things. And when I say changing things, mate, not only was he changing things in terms of the speed of method, the way we were doing things, but he was also engaging, mate, with the fans. He was coming into fan media interviews and speaking to the fans, telling the fans where the club were looking to go. It was COVID. We were trying to get people back in to the stadium, and he was telling us, I've had a meeting with the council, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing... So he was kind of giving his information. I'm going to be honest, and I'm just going to say this now. I think the kind of longer people that were at the club and the guys like Ian Bankier and guys that were surrounding the Celtic hierarchy at that time, and the team around Dom McKay, should I say, when he came in, I don't think they could keep pace with the guy. I think he was coming in and he was just, to all the older guys that were in there, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but I don't care either. I think it would have seemed that he had ADHD and he was just dead hyper and he was wanting to do this, and he was just fast forward and right out there. And eventually they started to put hurdles up in front of him and made things harder for him. And then all of a sudden we found out that, you know, it was personal reasons and he wasn't there long enough and he left. And then we came back to the way things were going again. Things get slower, things weren't getting done, things were this, things were that. And then snippets that were coming at the club regarding, you know, it was because of this and because of this and because of this and it was because of this and it was because he put clauses in Giacomakis' contract. It was because he put clauses in Juranovic's contract. If somebody came in and bought them, then, you know, that's Dermot wasn't happy about that. And this was all the nonsense you were hearing then. I don't think it was that at all. I think he was just, you know, I think he was just too forward thinking. And yeah. Ryan, I don't know how you feel, mate, but I just feel as if some of the older guard just were struggling to keep pace with him, man.
I agree with you. I know Daniel mentioned it briefly there. I'll obviously let Daniel back in and say his piece on McKay as well. But you've just said there, mate, I agree with you. He was wanting to talk to fan groups. He was telling us different information and about the council, as you mentioned, getting fans in. He was wanting to speak to supporters affiliations, supporters groups, fan media. He was wanting to modernise the club. Now, we can only go by what's in the media and what was said by the club that it was personal reasons. It could have been, listen, but he's still in a role now in rugby. Me and you had a chat about it last night, actually, about what he's doing now, because we actually forgot what he was doing. And he's actually been, I think he's the head of or the CEO of the Professional Rugby Association, one of the associations. So he's still doing a similar job, what he might be doing here at a football club. So he's still dealing with what he's dealing with at a high level. He's obviously a very intelligent man. To be CEOs or high hierarchy, a professional outlet like rugby's, unions, etc., he's obviously very well highly regarded in that sense. He's very good at his job. I'm agreeing with you. I think he came in here to try and modernise the club. Him and Ange said a few things as well that Brendan says, Neil Lennon says, Dylas says, all about the board. And it's just all, for me, there's just a big amalgamation here. There's a big common denominator. The old guard at the club, as Daniel says, I think are a bit stale. They'll be good for us in terms of where we are as a business sense and where we are. But I think we could be a far better position if we let some of the pound signs go, if the processes were done better, if things were done better. I'm not saying we'd be a powerhouse. I'm not saying that, but we would be qualifying in Europe. We would be getting to the latter stages of maybe the last 16s with the dual format, or the last 32 in Europa Leagues, or 16s and last 8s if we're in that. I think Celtic, people might think I'm Looney Tunes, right? I'm not saying we can go and spend 50, 60. I'm not saying that, but I think we really underrate ourselves and what we can buy and what we can do and what we can do. I think Celtic can do a lot better than we can in Europe. I think we can. Because look at Club Brugge, and every season, they're not spending mega money.
Yeah.
They're spending roughly what we're spending. So it's doing the process properly. But Daniel, what's your thoughts really? I know you've not really mentioned it, but for me, mate, I'm a JP. I think Dom McKay would have been a brilliant guy for us. He was communication, spot on. And I don't think he was a yes man, mate. I think some of the guys in the boardroom, this is just me. This is not information. This is my opinion. For anybody goes and tells people, oh, they've said this and they've said that. I believe that some of the guys in the boardroom are yes men to Dermot, who isn't actually the full owner, but Dermot probably, by the looks of it, everything goes through him, and it shouldn't, mate.
Yeah, definitely. I think that we seen it when Dom McKay first came in. We all got very excited by it, because he was like a breath of fresh air. He had such positive, forward-thinking ideas. And then, like JP stays, the hurdles start coming up, and then suddenly he's away, and we're like, oh, well, that was short-lived. And then it's back to the same old. But for me, it baffles me that that for only having 34% shares in the club, that most people are under the impression that he is the owner. Fair enough, he's got majority shares. He's probably got the most out of everybody, but I don't see why he's in such a controlling position. Like, I don't understand it. There should be a lot more flexibility there. There should be a lot more voices in that boardroom. So, well, not actually this, but everything seems to go through Dermot Desmond, which for me is, it's went on for too long. And Dom McKay was a fresh face in that boardroom, and I think, like JP says, they couldn't keep up with some of the ideas.
Yeah, I just don't think they could keep pace with
See
his
as well,
ideas.
JP. I'll put this to use too as well. I seen the other day, I know Hugh Keevins was talking about, and I think Hugh Keevins is quite an arrogant for Celtic board, and Desmond, and he was like, "Oh, Dermot's put this money in, etc."
I know
Hugh,
he's good pals with Lawwell.
Aye,
He's good
I feel
pals with Peter
saying,
Lawwell, Ryan.
Hugh, when was the last time Dermot Desmond knew? Dermot Desmond's one of the most wealthiest guys in Ireland. He's billions of pounds, right? I know he's never going to put that into, he's never going to put £1 billion into Celtic. Right? It's not going to happen.
I remember when he took Erd, everybody thought, yes, here we go, we're going to, it was like,
but see, like, obviously,
sure at the time, like,
aye,
everybody had that thought in their head, like, here we go, we're going to rule the roost here.
it was only last year or something I found out. I think it came. It was only.
By the way, we have ruled the roost in terms of winning.
Yeah. I'm sure it was on the accounts. It was on some sort of account that we all thought. Now, if I've got this wrong, somebody tell me. But this is what I've read and what I've seen. Now, we all thought that Dermot Desmond bankrolled O'Neill. It wasn't a loan. We paid that loan back a few years ago. So that Dermot Desmond gave Martin O'Neill 30 to 40. That was a loan. So that money's been paid back either to Dermot himself if he took the loan out, but it wasn't Dermot's money. They went, right, Martin, there's £40 million. It was a loan, and we paid that back. So he didn't back no Martin O'Neill. When was the last time Dermot Desmond went, right, lads, there's £5 million, there's £10 million, there's £1 million? That does prove that the club is well run. I get that, totally get that, right? But if these guys, some of these guys who, I get that you put money in and you want money back out, I get that. But see, if we had paid an extra £1 million on a player, an extra £5 million on that player, we maybe paid the wages for Craig Bellamy or the extra £5 million for Craig Bellamy years ago, or even Robbie Keane. I know maybe Robbie Keane's a bit far-fetched, but Bellamy was wanting to come here and we couldn't afford him. Well, we probably could have afforded him, but it didn't want to pay the extra £5 million or the extra £6 million or the wages even back then. If they'd done that, we could be even better than that next year, far ahead in Europe. But for some reason...
his statement, Ryan, when he left? When he obviously left the loan deal.
I can briefly remember it, briefly.
I want to go and further my career at Blackburn.
Aye. But again, it's all down to money, mate. Not a chance was...
How can you further your career at Blackburn?
I know. So that's... I just feel, mate, that I totally get that people are saying, but what Hugh Keevins said for me, mate, it's nonsense, because unless we get told... There's been never accounts or never anybody saying Dermot's put this in, because the club, as we've obviously says, the club runs itself. Buy, sell, merchandise, team books, European tickets. The club is evolving door right now. It is because of the way they've set us up, granted. But to say that Dermot Desmond has put all sorts of money into Celtic, show us in. Again, JP, we're speculating here, right?
Well, the money that's in the accounts is there ultimately because of the Celtic fans and obviously the way the players.
That's what I'm saying. So for Hugh Keevins to come out and say, Dermot's put this in, it's here, this and that, has he really, Hugh? Has he really put in 50, 40? No, he's no. So, again,
as Anton Logan's left foot just said in the comments here, you've got 58,800 season book holders there. You times that with 700.
I don't know in maths, but it's a lot of money.
No, it's a lot of money.
So Celtic runs as a club because of the way set up, amazing. But I don't know what you think of that, JP, but I do not believe Desmond's hardly put any money to Celtic. It's all been loans and that's all been paid back, and now it's money ourselves. So for me, that's nonsense.
Right, see in that aspect, right? I think that's astounding. I think that's astonishing in terms of the way we can run a football club and everything's done above board that way, and we're always in profit. That would be the way you'd want to run your football club. If you need a reminder of how not to run your football club, all you need to do is cast your mind back to 2012 and what happened across the water. So in that aspect, Daniel, I'm quite happy for Celtic to be in profit. But that doesn't get away from the fact that, we just hide behind that profit and we say, right, everything else needs to stand still while we build the accounts and ultimately, in a way, take the fans for granted. You could look at things, you look at the way they advertise things. There's a charity game at the weekend just went past, right? And a lot of people didn't know it was a charity game. A lot of people didn't even know it was a thing. Now, building up to that, mate, you've got two of the biggest names that you could think of for that fixture. Celtic playing Man United legends, right? Why not do a VT or some sort of recording or some sort of social media content and draft in Henrik Larsson and Roy Keane and get the two of them run the table, talking about one another, talk about Celtic, talk about Man United, talk about us, talk about that, whatever else, like Smith and Jones, head-to-head conversation, and then having displays of Larsson scoring for Man United, Larsson scoring for Celtic, and Roy Keane doing the exact same, playing for Celtic and Man United. I know Roy Keane wasn't here a long time, but start thinking outside the box. You look at Trophy Day at Celtic Park. Now, it's a great day. We're lifting a trophy. We're on the podium. But you look at the actual celebrations. It's a wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. See you later, guys. Thanks for coming. And you're away. Now, Celtic are away with their squad, with their families, with everybody that's there at the club. Away to a nice big fancy restaurant. Away having dinner. Away doing that. Away doing it, and the fans are all left to go down to Trongate and do what they're doing, or go and do their own thing there, or go and do their own thing there. We don't even have a fan zone. There isn't such a thing. You look at over in Italy when Napoli won the league. There's a ceremony for about 4 hours. There's DJs playing. There's music playing. There's kids face painting. There's this. There's that. These are all just things, mate, that I'm sitting here. A nobody. These guys are in the profession of doing this. I'm a nobody sitting here coming up with these ideas myself. Why can somebody at the football club start thinking outside the box and bringing these ideas forward and saying, we should be looking at this as a bigger thing. Now, see if they got Larsson involved in the poster and Roy Keane involved in the poster, the top tier would have been opened on Saturday, not just the bottom end of the stadium. See, when I saw that, Daniel, I looked at that and I went, wow. Because I remember Stan Petrov's, and by the way, Stan Petrov's was overshadowed by the boy Louis Tomlinson from One Direction. Mm-hmm. And I was in the north stand, and see, every time he touched the ball, mate, it was like he just scored the winner in the World Cup final. Yeah. The noise that came for that stand, all the wee girls and everybody else. Guys were having to take their daughters just because he was here. Mm-hmm. So this is what I'm saying about having an iconic figure to be the heading of your poster. It doesn't take a genius, mate, to come up with these ideas. But yet here we are, talking about these situations and asking for change and asking for, you ultimately ask a question, mate. What's going on?
I know, mate. It's total disregard for fan interaction. Yet when it comes time to renew season tickets, they talk about how heavily how important it is about fans. They put so much emphasis on that quote for Jock Stein, yet when it comes to it, they don't care. You've seen it. You've seen the difference. See, when Trophy Day under Ange, when we won the treble, the players were out on that park for about 2 or 3 hours, just doing laps, getting photos, had their families done. The season just there. They done a lap with the trophy. The players' families didn't even make the park. They didn't even make the park. They took off the confetti cannons, clap, 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 hi, boom, boom, gone. Straight in the taxi to the hotel. Celtic fans are left to go to the Trongate.
Yeah.
Now, the council are now saying, why don't we set up fan zones so it's regulated so people aren't getting hurt?
Yeah.
Celtic were completely absent for that. All they said was, we don't condone people taking air the city centre, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying, Daniel, because ultimately people that own businesses in the city centre, shops and stuff, they've got to close, mate, when that happens.
Exactly.
They've got to shut down and lose out. So there's a comment there from, I can't remember who it was, Kenneth Todd. He's commented about get the Wolf Tones at Glasgow Green. So why can't we have something set up in Glasgow Green, pre-organised, kind of similar to Transmit?
Yep.
Where the Celtic fans can go after the game and have a day out that's designated for them.
Yep.
I know we live in Glasgow. I know when they probably go to plan quite a lot of it, wouldn't they? I can hear people shouting at me, I don't know what, JP, because obviously you've got one half of Glasgow that don't like stuff like that and whatever else. But we're only guys sitting here on the podcast having a chat about this, and we're coming up with these ideas. Like, you know, you look at Roy Keane and Larson, and those are guys that are synonymous with Man United and Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
Why could Celtic not have done a video or done something to promote that game? Even if you want to flip it as a joke, like Man United's worst enemy, Joe Hart, played for Man City, blah, blah, blah. Just something really funny and something quirky, something that could have really got eyes on the, you know. And even Celtic going, right, it's £18 for adults, but kids get in free. Boom. It's a charity game. If you do that, fans are going to be then, you know, more inclined to spend a bit more money.
Yep.
Because, all right, we've had to pay in, but I've got a son and a daughter who's coming along with me, and I've not had to pay for them.
Yeah.
But no bother. I'll get them a wee Coke, I'll do this, they need to look at things in a bit more, in a modern way, Ryan, that they can somehow... I mean, I don't think the changes I'm asking for specifically in what I've mentioned tonight are anything astronomical, mate. I'm just like I say, I'm just a guy, Celtic fan sitting here, coming up with ideas myself. And by the way, if a video comes out now advertising the next charity game or whatever else, I'm going to dedicate my time and effort. Honestly, we've been bugged or something here, but aye. So, like I says, if I can come up with this idea, mate, I know Stephen in the comments was saying sack Jeremy Culloch, get JP into the social media. I know he was having a bit of a joke there, but he's ahead of Celtic's, you know, social media and the content that way. So if I can come up with this idea, what's going on, man? How can these guys not come up with something similar to entice people to Celtic Park? And which ultimately is, right now, a very difficult situation.
Well, me, I think it was me and you spoke about it after Trophy Day during the pre-season. There's not enough, as Daniel, I'll let Daniel back in as well on this point as well, but Daniel's bang on there. Me and you spoke about it, that Trophy Days, it's similar to what, seen the Scott final when I think it was it Chris Sutton that says it? Can't think who it says it. It's an ex-player, I'm sure it says a pundit. When we scored, it was just, hey, 1-0, right, let's go. There was no celebration, it was just like, it was expected. And it can't be like that. Every time you play for Celtic, if it's Trophy Day, Flag Day, Cup Finals, you need to celebrate that, like it's your last goal you'll score, the last trophy you'll win. And Flag Day, me and you spoke quite in depth, JP, that they're well out of touch. There's no fan zones, there's no DJs, there's no atmosphere build up, there's nothing before it, there's not even like players don't even spend time before the game, as Daniel says, the families after the game walk around, even the manager speaks to the wee kids at the start of the dugout, or there's no imagination. It's just right, see the team win, lift the trophy, see you later, you go enjoy your day. Go and put our fans now. I know what you're saying, JP, that people might not like that. Well, that's where Celtic say to the SFA, they talk to the government, they talk to the police and say, look, and the 10th of May, just says the 10th of May, right? We want to hire out Glasgow Green, a part of Glasgow Green. It'll be a ticketed event. You don't need to pay for it, but you need to have an email or you need to subscribe to it. Just say...
Or even show your season book.
Aye, there you go. Just say there's only, I don't know, 5,000 fans allowed in, or 10, just say a select number, right? But there's food kiosks, there's soft drinks, there might be alcohol if there's a licence, but it's stewarded and policed, and there's kids allowed in, there's face paint, there's DJs. Even make it alcohol free, just so it's a family event. soft drinks, food. There's so many things you could do. Now, I'm not involved, like you says. We're just guys on here talking about it. But if you can do transmit, Daniel, and do all these events at the Hydro and this and that, how can you know they are fans on for Celtic fans, mate? At Celtic Park. In fact, even European nights, Daniel. Celtic are made a boo-boo on that as well. Fan nights. Make a fan zone near Celtic Park. Make it in the green. Even make it somewhere away from Celtic Park where the fans can go and congregate, get a drink, get a laugh. Wayne's, if it's a family event area where there's no alcohol served, food, drinks, food, DJs, Celtic games, ex-players turning up, pundits. Tell me, Daniel, that me, you, and JP here, mate, are just Looney Tunes, or is it that simple? And like some of the comments say, they just don't want to do it because they're lazy and just go and steal, mate.
Daniel's just raging because he's still not been able to get a chance to beat the goalie in Big Rob Douglas storming it.
So,
No, Ryan, you're spot on, mate, because we see it with the national team. The national team see especially for the Greece game, they had the big fan zone up, they had ex-players in talking, they had DJs. Such an emphasis was put on these big games for the national team. Why are the clubs, especially we had Bayern Munich at Celtic Park in a Champions League playoff game, and they didn't have anything like a fan zone pre-match. It was just, turn up to the game, let's get behind the team, yes, let's go and do it. Why was that not made a big deal, such a big deal? Because that's the furthest we've been in years. It's a big moment. And then a comment there about the corner flag. I seen the boy after it. He made a steady recovery. Seen him walking home with it.
Up his arse.
Mate, I didn't even know. I just driving by and he's got the corner flag. And then obviously I came home and seen the video. So, but
somebody got it off him because I seen a guy walking back into the stadium and putting it back.
But it's ridiculous, mate.
See, Daniel, on that, I'll let you back in because you made a brilliant point there, mate. See on that, the European thing. Obviously, and then JP can answer as well because I think JP might think it's a good idea as well, and some of the viewers. But see, like the European games, like you mentioned there, right? I don't know why they don't even get like a wee mini screen outside and show you the old European games, beating Barcelona, Chris Sutton, Juventus goals. I know they might even show you some ball goals. I know we didn't win it, but show that outside the stadium before this is what needs to be in Europe.
Have you not sent that email? I thought you said you were going to take your old iPad then.
No, I get smashed if I carry that. It's full of bleach. Bleach is on it first. I put bleach on it first.
It's not that. If anybody wants to know exactly what your screensaver is, it's this.
No, it's me and Liam.
It's that.
Me and Liam.
I'm and Liam. Honestly,
I get smashed. I get smashed at the pub and they put that ball at the park last Sunday. But no, Daniel. Surely something like that could be something. Make it like you've just mentioned there. That's a massive game for us. If it's something with the European screens to show the old games, just make it a European themed night, like you mentioned there. Like if it's DJs or just something different, Daniel, I think you're bang on there, mate.
It doesn't even need to be in the stadium, mate. It can be just build up to the game, whether it be social media, emails, anything. Like, there's no... Think about how different, because a lot of fans, and I have this opinion myself, sometimes the atmosphere in the European games, it's not the same. It's a lot flatter, especially if the team do end up behind. It's flat. Like, we get up and we get gone for the first few minutes, and then once the game settles down, the only noise is coming for the two fans groups in the corners. Like, it's bizarre. Like, there's no...
Would you want, Daniel, do you want the undersoil waiting to be changed to thunder sound effects when players are trying to run down the wing and all that?
No, even that, mate, it's just the club could do so much more to get the fans up for these type of games. Like we say, big European nights, get a fan zone outside Celtic Park, get on the social medias, run the highlights of the big goals. There's just so much disregard for the fan experience. It's baffling because you see it in put it this way, you see it, teams coming to Celtic Park to play these games, they do it. Think about the social media presence that Kairat have now emerged with and building up to these games. Obviously, I know they've made a bit of a banter out of it now, but it still gets their fans up for it. It still encourages them to turn up, get behind their team, and show exactly what you're in for. So a lot more, exactly. I mean, they spent £2 million on disco lights for a late kick-off against Falkirk. No, this season, that's all the time. That's the only time they've been able to use them so far. Like, I mean,
I had a better light show at my night on Saturday, boys. I'll tell you that right now.
Exactly, mate. I think these cast your mind back to the Valencia game, mate, when we played them in the Europa League. See, before that, I was standing in the stands, mate. Light show, DJs. The crowd was jumping, although it wasn't a good result. The atmosphere was there. It's not the same anymore.
You're going to see Daniel standing outside Celtic Park in a couple of months. Can it be AC/DC? Can it?
The best atmosphere, Daniel, I've had recently, and I think a lot of fans will maybe say the same. It's because there was an atmosphere. It was a game we beat Rangers 3-0. Was it March or February? Everybody walking into that game, there was an atmosphere. There was music playing. There was music playing at the goals. There was just the music before the games. It was like Zombie Nation. It was all. Why just for that game? Was that because it was a nighttime game? It was lights, and there's definitely, for me, Daniel, I think you're bang on, mate. I think there's small things that are no doing right, sorry. But these small things over the years in terms of transfers and with the fans, games, flag day, everything's built up now, and the fans are just going, right, enough. For me, Daniel, they're giving you this, but we are giving them money, we're giving them the full support, we're backing them, we're paying this, we're doing this, season books, merchandise, European trips. Guys got to carry that, by the way, but they had no need to do it. Going to support their team, and they're giving us this back. That's this is the thing. This is just totally went, nah, right. You've took the Mickeys out for so long. No even Guineas they qualify for nothing anymore. No Guineas are friendly anymore for years. No Guineas discounts their season cards anymore. I get trophies, right? That can happen. That is a reward for being a fan. But that might not happen this year. Might not happen next year. Might not happen 2, 3, 4 years' time. Trophies not a given. But give you something, like JP says there. See, if you're a season book holder, I know you can take your kid into a certain age, etc. Right? But see, with your season book, your kid gets a free meal, a free £5 book, something to entice fans. Because like JP mentioned there, the Legends game, right? £18 for adults, your kid's free, and your kid gets a free fruit shooting a pie or fruit shooting chips. Free programme. Something to, because I guarantee you, by the way, it's wee small things like that in this living that we're in. Oh, do you know what? I can't afford to take the kid, but I can, because she's going to get fed at the game and she'll get to see, oh, the ex-player's brilliant. I'll take her or him and we'll make a brilliant day. But if it's 20 odd quid and you get nothing else with it, oh, I can maybe go myself, and I need to get a babysitter now. For me, lads, I just think there's small things that the club don't look at, and how come other clubs do it and we can't? It's not all about making money. Obviously, making money is a big thing, right? But give something back, and this thing, it won't add up to it.
No. Listen, it's something I think you could spend another podcast really talking about, in terms of how you feel about things and the way things are flat. And I mean, the things that we've mentioned tonight, lads, these are only some of the stuff that doesn't even scratch the surface, of things that the football club can look to do. And listen, I'll say it again, I'm not looking for individuals to be binned or heads rolling or whatever. I'm looking for methods to be changed, looking at the bigger picture, looking outside the box, as Daniel mentions. I'm looking for, start being proactive instead of reactive in certain scenarios, in certain situations. Start being a bit more forward planning. Start being a bit more forward thinking when it comes to telling the fan base. Now, we're looking for some answers. We're looking to find out, what's the club strategy now moving forward? Where are we going? What we're looking to do? What kind of target are we going to have in terms of players, We understand that players are unhappy now in the squad. So do we have a next thing? Do we have the next reply, the next answer? Do we have that on board? Are we now looking to the January window because we know now Dyson's probably going to be away? I'm just going to say it right. I think he'll be first right out the door. I think as soon as January opens, boom, he's off. By the way, that's to take into consideration as well. It's not just Dyson. He's got a family. So his family's probably, they've got to a point where they've lived here for over 4 years. They want to try something new, and I get it. Listen, I understand that. I can get on board with that, and I appreciate that. However, the club have put Dyson now in a position that he probably doesn't want to be in. And we're now in that crosshairs now, where, as Mark says earlier in the comments, are we going to see Dyson being professional, really knuckling down now? Or are we going to see the other Dyson that we've saw since the beginning of the season? So I'm an advocate for change, but that change has got to be thoroughly planned out as well. Because I'm also a realist in terms of we are in Scottish football. So when you're looking at all these big things and you're wanting all these big drastic changes, we need to understand as well that we have a sealant. We've only got guys like Brendan, Kieran Tierney, Jota, because they have a connection with the football club. That's why they're with us. That's why we have that talent here. If Celtic were just going out trying to get Kieran Tierney and he didn't know Celtic, we wouldn't get him. Because as it looked with the same with Dahlberg, he went back to Ajax because he has a familiarity. That happens in football. He's been with Ajax. Ajax can offer a lot more money to Kasper Dahlberg, especially in a wage packet, than we could. We do have a sealant. And I'm also of that, I accept that that's where we are. We need to accept where we are in the food chain as well. So, that being said, there is a higher bracket of where I know we're capable of pushing in terms of your Arnie Engels prices and Adam Ida prices for certain individuals when it's got to be right. But that's where we need to get better, lads. We need to get better at striking when it's right. Not eeny, meeny, miny, mo and hoping for the best. Because now, as it looks, we need to now hope that Sebastian Tenetke and Balik Wisha are of the same quality as Nicholas Kuhn and Jota. Because if they're like Haksabanovic, Yang, who, by the way, I think he's done well for Celtic, but he's just not good enough to start every game. Unfortunately, that's where Yang is. He's developed from since he's come in, but he's not good enough to be a starter. So that's why I'm mentioning him in this trio of names I'm saying. So you look at Haksabanovic, Yang, and Lewis Palmer. If these two guys are of this brand of players, Ryan, I dare say we could be in a wee bit of a soapy bubble, mate, moving forward towards January. But if they are of a similarity of, like, say, your Nicholas Kuhns and they start showing that kind of promise, I think we're going to be okay, right?
I think there's a lot of pressure on Taneke and Balatisha, mate. The club have kind of put them in that pressure. Listen, there's always pressure with Celtic, absolutely. But Balatisha's been targeted, and it seems like he's been Brendan and the recruitment team signing. And Taneke says he heard about it a while ago. So these two have been targeted, and they need to do well.
By the way, there's pressure on Taneke as well, because I don't know if you've seen Lustig's comments on him. He says he's like Ronaldinho.
No, I've not seen that, mate.
Lose for the ball. So,
but look, listen, we can only judge them when they come here. I'm not going to judge Balatisha on Ibrox because it was new. You can see he was nervous. Give him a few games, see how he gets on. But for me, Daniel, I'm agreeing with JP, mate, that these guys need back. It's not down to them to be targeted because of the the failings of the club getting them in quick enough. But I do agree that they too need to hit the heights, because if we don't, like JP says, mate...
Well, they need to give us a spark, ultimately. That's what I was meaning as well. They need to
No,
give
you're
us
right, mate.
a spark. And that, take away that flatness that was there when we were at Ibrox.
No, you're right, mate. And I think, Daniel, JP's right, and well, I think I'm right in what I'm saying here, that they two definitely need to hit the ground running, because if they don't, you're then left for James Forrest, Yang, who doesn't want to be here, Jota's no fit yet, and as McDonald says, they might go to the AFCON as well. So you're left in January with a dilemma. Do you get players on loan? Do you buy players because they might get injured? They might actually look good and people might come in for them. You're missing for a few weeks. So for me, Daniel, I agree with JP that there's a lot of pressure on them, mate.
Yeah, definitely. And I would tend to agree with you on the pressure on the players has come for this transfer window, the way it's panned out. Because if we were sitting here in a position where we had qualified for the Champions League, these guys are coming in, there'd be a lot more excitement rather than expectation with the guys. So for me, I'm the same boat as you. I'm not going to judge them until they play a couple of games, but I definitely do think there's a lot more emphasis now on these guys needing to come in and hit the ground running and be successful, because like JP says, if they fall into that Haksabanovic and Luis Palma bracket, it's no a good reflection. It then becomes a look at a panic buy.
Well, there's an outlay of over £10.5 million on both players as well, Daniel.
Exactly.
So there is that aspect as well. So
exactly. So these are the guys that have been identified, and then it's dragged out and dragged out and dragged out. You get them in the door, they don't hit the ground running, and then it's, well, what did you let it drag out for? Have you just bought them because they'd been floating about for so long? But that's worst case scenario. Do you know what I mean? Do I see it going that way? I don't. I think if they've been identified and the names have been floating about for as long as they have, they've clearly been identified for a reason. So, in my opinion, I hope that they can hit the ground running and be successful. I wouldn't want any player to come in the club and no be. So, best of luck to them, but the pressure is on for them.
That guy on its side here, parked in the Scotto, George says. So that's where he is tonight then, is it?
he's that. By the way, he's went radio silent as well, George. So
he must be on his last run then, aye.
I want to have a wee word with him, mate, because I'm starting to get a wee bit fed up with him now, right? I don't know about you, mate, but it's excuse. He's becoming more like that Celtic statement, mate. And I think the next meeting we have, man, people will be calling us the people front of Judea. Meetings about meetings. Know what I mean?
He's even subscribing to the half 10 show. He's away down in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? He's even supporting his own local business. Do you know what I mean?
It's not that. I got a text tonight. And now I'm starting to believe it with Georgie's comments, but I got a text tonight saying he was looking for beat the goalie with Big Rab, but he's away out with. By the way, he's got a mask on. He's got Delai's mask on and all. He's looking for Big Rab. So he heard
the Legends games tonight. He get a wrong date.
He's turned up at Old Trafford.
Aye, nice stadium, Alan.
Aye.
Man.
I got a message earlier on for Bartes saying the game was a night, boys. Is that true?
Oh, brilliant.
That's just a baldy pal. That's not even Bartes. He thinks he's Bartes. He was drunk that night. So, but no, he obviously Kelechi in that show as well. He's come in. He came in the day after the window. I listened to his comments tonight. I'm buzzing, lads, about this because I've just got a feeling that he's going to give something different from what we had. Bearing in mind, and also, you take it on into perspective as well. We haven't signed a guy that's Early Hill, and a couple of weeks ago, fans were creaming in their boxer shorts, thinking that we were signing Jamie Vardy. So we're now at a point where I've signed a guy that's 28, 29, he's in the prime of his career. You seen Brendan, Brendan nearly made love to him in that training video. Honest to God, the way he cuddled him. I've never seen it. It's like you and Scales, Ryan. Swear to God, I've never seen him do with excitement on their face. Seeing a guy in person, giving him a cuddle. It's frightening. And I think he's going to give something different, Ryan. He's a left footer as well, mate. We've not had that since Griff. He's a different dynamic. Left footers are always different dynamics, mate. You know that yourself. But you're watching these wee videos, and we've seen wee videos of him training. Mate, he's as sharp as a tack. I don't care what anybody says. This AI generated photo, I'm looking like Morelos. No, obviously he doesn't, because he's as fit as anything. So, listening to him speaking, talk about Casper and talk about things that he knows, and then when the guy says to him, "Are you fit?" and he goes, "Oh, aye. Oh, I'm ready." I like hearing that, Ryan. I like hearing players. Now, where I think this is slightly different is because Adamida came in with a $9 million price tag.
Yeah.
This guy's come in at the end of a window and he's come in for free. We've signed this guy in free. Look at his CV. This guy's won the FA Cup with Leicester. He's played for Man City, scored against us in the Champions League for Man City. And a draw at the Etihad. So he's played in the La Liga with Sevilla. Now, people are going, JP's not scored a lot of goals. No, he might not have. But look at his CV. I'm not interested in his goal scoring elsewhere. I'm interested in what he does on Sunday if he pulls a hoop zone and we go to Rugby Park and we play Kilmarnock. But I've got a feeling about this, Ryan, that he's maybe going to give something that wee bit different. And it could also give us that spark, like Daniel says. And it maybe the spark that needs to kick McGregor into gear. Or, you know, you're talking about playing forward in the game at Ibrox. It might click Benji Nigrin into gear. He might just have that movement, Ryan, that it just goes boom. And that forward pass might not have been there at Ibrox. But all of a sudden, this guy starts making moves that you go, oh, hold on a minute. He's making a different body movement here altogether. And then that invites Teneke and Balikwisha and Maeda and all that to start. And before you know it, one or two moves, you could be 3-4-0 up at Rugby Park. And then the team start to feel better about themselves, Ryan. The window's shut now, all that's gone. They can concentrate on the football. But talking about Ignacio, mate, I think he could give us something different. I really do.
I've seen some comments. I think Ian said it there about Antonio. I heard nothing, so I don't know if that's just a wee small rumour elsewhere, but I can't see Celtic signing Antonio for West Ham. He's been released, obviously. I can't, after obviously
there's more chance of signing Antonio Banderas.
Obviously after his big crash and stuff as well, obviously hopefully he's progressing well, but I can't see Celtic taking that gamble on him at this age as well, and after what's happened to him. So again, I think he's 36, 35, is he no?
No. Right, okay.
I think, don't quote me, but that's what's ringing in my head.
There's more chance of Big Allen signing Antonio for a Scotland.
Aye. In terms of an actual, I'm going to, in terms of Ian Acho, I'm going to rein myself back for it and just let him play. I've got no expectations of him. I think he will need game time to get up to speed because he's not played a lot of football, and we've all played football, lads. It's all right training and been sharp in training, but playing football is a totally different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
You can be knackered in 10 minutes playing football, but then you can play fives or play wee drills in training. But as soon as you're playing that big park at Celtic Park under competitive rules, it's different. So give him a few games, see how he turns out. Listen, it could be a breath of fresh air. It could be an absolute masterstroke, or it could be an absolute flop. I think it's going to go two ways. I know that might be Michael and stuff here, right? But I don't think he's just going to be all right. I think he's going to be brilliant, or he'll be hopeless. I think that's the way it's going to go here. I'm hoping it's going to be. I do, mate. Aye. Actually, I hope he does really well because it'll be good for him. It'll be good in the manager as well. It'll be good for us as well to have another option up front because obviously either's a way.
Gives you an option to get a name in the back of your top now.
Aye, that I know, mate. Aye, to be fair, aye.
You'll actually win a game of Scrabble if you do that.
I'm always spelling that name.
Do you think if you put it all together, it's up there with Big Yan in it? Big Yan vinegar.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm hoping he turns out well, JP. I think he might just need somewhere that loves him and gets his in point for the Sparrow. Why they don't make it Seville, who knows? I'm I hope he does well. He will get game time, I think. He is. I know we've got Johnny Kennedy and Osman, but he's probably the only striker you would say that will maybe play next to Daizen Maeda. Natural striker, I mean, at the club that's been played at a good level for a few years. So we'll see how it turns out. Don't know how you feel, Daniel, but I'm going to refrain myself from really mentioning him. No, not mentioning him, but judging him. Wait to see with Celtic, because I've heard through previous clubs recently he's not been fit, he's not really been doing well and this and that. So I'm judging him on what he does at Celtic, and we'll see how he goes, Daniel. If he starts on Sunday, brilliant, but let's see how he goes, mate.
I think my answer's going to follow the same kind of a pattern, but a bit more boring. I'm just going to wait and see how he gets on. There's zero well, that's a lie, actually. He's got nothing to lose. There's no zero expectation on him. There's a lot of expectation on him, but he's got nothing to lose in my book. He's coming here with a no so good review for Middlesbrough and Sevilla, whereas his review for his time in England is sparkling. So, for me, see what he does in a Celtic shirt. If he starts on Sunday, result, we get a good look at him. He does look fit, he does look sharp, so let's just give the boy a bit of time and see how he gets on now that the transfer window's shut and we can just focus on the football.
Yeah, that's ultimately what I'm looking for now, is the football coming back. Obviously, I don't mind international football the way some people dislike it, and I'm a Scotland fan as well, but now that that's over and Scotland have made a great start to their World Cup qualifying campaign as well, yeah, I'm looking at Sunday now, and we play Kilmarnock, and the games after that are coming thick and fast, because now it's coming into a point where we, the Europa League's starting soon. We've got another cup game with Partick Thistle soon. We don't play a home game until the end of the month, and that's against Hibs. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the game on Sunday, and yeah, I think for once in my life, mate, I'm all talked out tonight. So I think that's probably a nice way to end tonight's wee chat. Ryan, we are back on, mate. When is that, mate? You're a man with a roster.
Myself, Daniel and Alan, will probably afternoon tomorrow. We'll put in the socials tomorrow morning. Still try to gauge time-wise.
I'm just going to make sure Alan's all right, and Stuart's
yeah, we will be on tomorrow afternoon at some point. We'll let you know early morning on the socials, so you can obviously get a wee update on it.
I'll be back Thursday night at the time of 8 o'clock again, and I think the boys are trying to get rid of me. They're trying to elbow me out the door. They're just giving me my times. They're not really telling me what's happening.
Michael Nicholson, right? Come on. Hit the road.
I'm sitting here advocating for change. They're advocating for change with this podcast. It's me who's going.
We've got another guy getting out of donuts, Alan. That's why he's in the Scottish this morning.
Aye, big Alan's done it part. He's done it himself. He's currently, I've got a text message here, he's currently on the Celtic Way waving a Derlie mask looking for Rob Douglas. That's what he's doing now. So he's...
No, he's like, oh, we want to park on this guy.
100%. I hope he's not got the same underpants on as old Ronnie, by the way. We'll be having a different conversation, I think, if I can.
We'll need to get him out of Short Street if that's the case.
We'll be getting a phone call in an hour. The Bell Street Police Station will be phoning us. But Daniel, thanks again, mate, for coming on and having a chat with us, mate. It was good to get a wee chat with you again.
Not a problem, but it'd been a fair wee while. It was a good chat. Good to be back on, and hopefully more of the same moving forward.
And Ryan, same to yourself, mate. Never a dull moment, mate, when you're on talking about you and your bum chum Scalesy and all the rest of it. But I'll say it now. Please don't get rid of me too soon. Gives me a shift. Gives me a rota.
No, it's a good chat. We've delved into quite a lot. Obviously, we'll delve in tomorrow and Thursday and the rest of the week. But there's plenty to talk about now. So there's plenty for us all to kind of speak about and the viewers as well. So I look forward to back on tomorrow, and then obviously JP's back on and Thursday night with Alan and Mark. So yeah, plenty of content this week for us all to get involved in.
Yes. And thank you to you guys, the viewers who have tuned in and spent an hour and nearly 45 minutes with
And
us.
thanks for the donations. They're much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your donations. That'll go towards Ryan's wee Christmas night out when he's
Me Scales.
down. He's down. Him and Liam Scales is that. By the way, a couple of more donations come in. I've heard that they too have got a great wee funder for a Miller and Carter night out. So we'll need
He's
to,
paying it. He's paying it, not me.
We'll need to see how that goes, Daniel. But I think Ryan's on to a promise. If Celtic won the League Cup, Scalesy did say he would take him for dinner. So we'll need to be there and cheering the boys on to beating Partick Thistle.
Definitely.
But for everybody that's tuned in with us, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you again on the next one. Hail, guys. Bye-bye.
Sets up Larson here. Larson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly. How about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson. And Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!